This video is sponsored by Magic Spoon. Probably a bunch of nice camping around here. Although with the impending storms coming, honestly, on the ridge here is probably not the best place to be. Whew. Hey everybody, Syntax77 here. It is early March and I am back down in West Virginia. I got 3 days, 2 nights in front of me, and I am in the mood to do some backpacking and hammock camping. So that's what we're gonna do if you wanna come along and join me. I'm at the trailhead now. I'm about to do an area that I've never done before. Although the trailhead I'm at right here is the Red Creek trailhead for Dolly Sods Wilderness. And if you are familiar with the channel over the years, you might be really confused right now because I've done Dolly Sods a lot of times. And I said we're gonna do somewhere new. So let me explain. We're not going up here. This is the southern end of Dolly Sods. And we are actually headed towards the Roaring Plains Wilderness. I got my pack there. We're gonna have some fun with that in a little bit, but right now, I'm just gonna get the pack on and get right into things. And just to fill you in a little more on what's going on as we walk away from the Dolly Sods Wilderness sign there and towards this closed gate. So I drove down this morning from Delaware and Google brought me to the trailhead as far as it could. What I didn't realize was on the other side of the plateau where I was, there was a locked gate just like this. So right now I'm doing a road hike, but from here, it's only about 2 miles or so of road hike. From the other side, it was going to be like 10 plus miles. So I drove over here. Ironically, I'm parked in Dolly Sods, but we're gonna hike down this road and link up with the trailhead that I actually intended to. And we'll get into the woods. Roaring Plains is a federal wilderness area. It has, apparently, similar to Dolly Sods, some nice sweeping vistas, open meadow type areas, and mountain views. While Dolly Sods is in a relatively remote little corner of West Virginia, it's also relatively popular. Roaring Plains, equally remote, but not nearly as popular, overshadowed by its popular stepsister over there in the parking lot. But another potential reason is that it's not very well mapped out. There's not a whole lot of official paper maps out there, if any. I couldn't find any. I just used my GPS software on my computer and some printouts that I found, and that's the best that I have to go on. Combine that with the fact that it's a wilderness area which actually has restrictions on trail markers. You're not allowed to have the white blazes, stuff like that on the trees. With the low use and that, it's apparently a little tricky to follow, but we'll find out. The good news is it's a beautiful day so far. A little bit of cloud cover, but not bad. It's in the high 30s right now, and that's about our high for the trip. It'll swing down each night into the 20s, back up to the 30s for the next 3 days. Tomorrow has a 90% chance of precipitation. Could be rain, could be snow. I'm thinking with our higher elevation, it's going to be snow. Worst case, we get rain, and then we get, you know, it freezes afterwards. But we'll deal with that as it comes. We'll just make sure the tarp is nice and set up when we make it to camp tonight. Not planning on doing crazy mileage today. I think longest case scenario, 12, 13 mile loop. There's a pretty decent network of trails in here, albeit maybe not easy to follow, but a decent network. So depending on how things go and the weather and whatnot, we can either make a full loop, or we can go out and back, stay in one campsite each night, or we could move each night. We're just going to play it by ear, based on how things unfold. Speaking of which, I haven't eaten too much today, so this might be another one of those trips where I stop to eat within the first mile or so. No shame in my game. But before we get to that, let's get off of this road and onto some trails. All right, phase one complete. South Prong Trailhead. About 2.5 miles and 1,200 feet of elevation gain out of the way. Unfortunately, it was on, the road there, which it's hard to describe, but something about road hiking, it just feels a lot longer. But here we are. Let's see if this map here will tell us what's going on. Welcome to Flat Rock and Roaring Plains. Some of these trails follow the old railroad grades that were used at the turn of the century to haul timber from the high plateau to the valleys below. Wildfires and erosion following the widespread timber cutting helped create the rocky heath barrens, huckleberry plains, and spruce thickets present today. Nature is slowly replacing the topsoil, preparing the land to grow the giant spruce that once stood here. Now, one upside of us coming up here the way we did was, it is, I don't think I mentioned, but it is a Tuesday. I'm doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It is winter, and we're in a remote, less popular area. That already made it pretty high chance that we're going to have the place to ourselves. Couple that with the fact that they closed the road, and it's at least a 2.5 mile hike that way and a 10 mile or so hike that way to get here on a road. I don't think anybody else is here, so it's all ours. So let's check it out. I got a map here that might be better. And this is from Mid-Atlantic Hikes. They just made this on their mapping software, but posted it. So, all right, South Prong Trail. So this is Forest Road 19 right here. Pardon the shadow there, but South Prong Trail kind of runs at 2 points from the road, up this way, around, and then doubles back towards the road. So I had an option to get off the road, and believe me, I thought about it. I definitely thought about taking it, but I didn't do it because I figure I can do that on the way out. For today, what I'm going to do is I sucked it up. I did a little more road hike, and I came up here after walking past that, and now I am up here, this green line, South Prong. The good news is elevation for today is pretty much out of the way after coming up from below 3,000. So we're going to go along this ridge and down, and then connect up with this little connector here, and then onto this hidden passage Jeep trail, which I don't actually believe is accessible to vehicles, but maybe years ago it was a Jeep trail. That red line, we're going to take that, and after a total of about 3.5 miles from here, we're going to get down here to a mountaintop campsite with views that I've read are some of the best in the Monongahela National Forest, assuming that you can actually get it to yourself. And like I said, based on our situation, I think we just might. So I'm going to push forward to that. I don't know if there's water, but I packed in 3+ liters in my giant pack there. And also there is snow around, although to be honest, it's very thin coating. So when I was new to backpacking, I would see that amount of snow. I would say, oh, okay, perfect. You can melt snow for water. But typically in real life, you want a good 6 inches, ideally a foot plus of snow if you're going to dig in and melt snow, because there's a lot of debris and whatnot towards the bottom layer, a lot of debris on the top. You want to really be able to dig in there and get a nice solid layer of snow. So this thin top coating, in desperation, yes, I would spend time melting that. But ideally, for a recreational trip, I mean, more of a pain in the butt than it's worth. So we'll see if it gets deeper, but as of right now, I have enough water for today and the beginning of tomorrow, if I'm smart. And then tomorrow, on the rest of the loop, I plan to dip back down lower elevation towards some of the streams and whatnot that we're currently leaving behind. You saw that water back there. So yeah, I'm just going to conserve water and get through till tomorrow afternoon, most likely. The trees are already getting pretty short, which means getting closer to the top of the plateau where the winds are faster, conditions are harsher, and more volatile weather-wise. We're on, relative to the surrounding area, a very high plateau. And just picture a mountain with the top chopped off, flat across, way higher than the surrounding area, and the wind just funnels through. Different weather systems come through as well with that, and it can change on a dime, even in the summer. Almost similar to New Hampshire and the White Mountains, in a more muted way, but still quite volatile and something to be respected. So far though, nav wise, we got blue plastic discs, so not bad at all to navigate. I imagine that's because we're on the South Prong Loop, which is pretty easily accessible. That'll probably go away as we leave the loop later, but for now it's nice. It's quiet, other than the birds chirping. Up ahead, the trees continue to get smaller. I'll tell you what else is getting smaller. My will to continue without some food. I think it's about time for that. Maybe find a spot over here on the rocks, out in the sun, do a little meal break. And while we're at it, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my sponsor for this video, Magic Spoon. As you probably noticed from the box on top of my backpack here, yes, I hauled in a bag, a box rather, of their grain-free, keto-friendly cereal. I've done keto in the past. Actually, I did it for 2 years at one point. Only came off 4 times for 4 days max, maybe 5. Often for only a couple days. Recently, or I should say in the last couple years, I have not done strict keto, but I kind of fast intermittently. And I typically don't eat breakfast. But while that makes me feel better, there's definitely days where I'm just hungry in the morning, but I find if I eat something, then I get kind of sluggish and it messes up my productivity and whatnot. So I have found that with a low carb breakfast, if I'm going to eat breakfast, I can get a little nutrients, some energy, but I don't get that like crash of eating carbs like you traditionally get with breakfast foods, which are like heavy carby foods like traditional cereals with a ton of sugar, pancakes, waffles, bagels, stuff like that. So this right here is what we're going to have right now to get this trip going. I also have with me some powdered milk, backpacking friendly, as well as a spoon, probably need that, right? A bowl, and a pretty good appetite. It's grain-free, gluten-free, soy-free. Each 140 calorie serving has 13 to 14 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and only 4 grams of net carbs per serving. So if you are on keto or just carb conscious, no problems there. They got a ton of different flavors. They got cocoa, peanut butter, regular frosted. My personal favorite is blueberry. Right now, I'm about to try what I think might be my new favorite, just guessing, fruity flavor. Oh, and they're actually little loops. So first things first, powdered milk, right? And probably need some water. So it's about a quarter cup for every 8 ounces. So a couple teaspoons of that goodness. How's that for some trail food? Eating cereal on top of a mountain. Pretty cool. And yeah, this is good. So I'm going to finish this up and then get back on the trail. But for those of you interested, viewers of this channel, you can use the link in my video description along with the code SYNTAX77. You can get a variety pack and $5 off, or just go to the link, magicspoon.com/syntax77, and, you know, try it out for yourself. It's backed by 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So I guess we'll head out and see what comes next here. I've been following what I thought was dog prints, but curiously, no boot prints. Those are mine. So that is some sort of wild animal, and actually, now that I mention it, cuts off to the side. It actually looks more like a cat, but maybe some of you can tell me. Cat or dog? Either way, it's not a pet. And it went into the woods over there. It's in the high 40s now. At least it was out there in the sun. Probably cooler in the pines here. Just kind of switching between these rhododendrons and evergreens. Occasional glint of sunlight. And we'll see what the trail brings next. We've come to our first actual trail intersection right here. And as noted on my notes that I have with me, it says there will be no markings for this intersection or any of the ones in front of us for the next 2.5 more days, and no more trail markers, which makes sense. So that is probably our last trail marker right there, which, like I said, I was surprised there was any, because legally you can't have trail markers in federal wilderness area, but perhaps that means that technically we weren't on wilderness land until right now. But either way, navigation will get a little different from here on out. And right here, looks like South Prong Trail keeps going that way. And we're going to cut up this way towards the Hidden Trail, I believe it's called. Hidden, right? Hidden Passage Jeep Trail. So there's a little 0.59 connector trail, and then we'll hit that red trail, which is the quote-unquote Jeep Trail, which, like I said, don't believe is anything that I could actually get my Jeep to. But so it is called. Looks like a clearing over there for tent site. It's getting a little tighter in here. I still got, oh yeah, it's getting way tighter in here. Still got a couple hours of daylight left. It's a little muddy, that is for sure. But less tree cover, so that's nice. And wow, you can hear some water really rushing here. So if you did camp around here, you'd have the advantage of water. In my case, I'm gonna press on to this mountain campsite. I still got 3-ish liters of water with me. I think that's gonna be fine till tomorrow, so I'm not gonna bother refilling. I'm gonna keep my weight a little, well, lower, and just press ahead here across the water. There's a cool grassy area. Little side trail there. Probably a bunch of nice camping around here. But it should only be, I'd say, 2 more miles with minimal elevation change. And I should get to the first kind of plains area and this campsite opportunity. I hear it's very good for stars, although with the impending storms coming, snow and rain, I think we're going to have overcast conditions, much like we have right now, that are going to thicken as the night goes on. So we may not get the star views, but that's okay. Maybe a nice sunrise, who knows? We'll take it as we get it. And already, you can see, it's getting a little weird as to where the trail is. Oh yeah, it says I came off of it. A lot of herd paths and whatnot around here. Probably to numerous campsites as well as animal trails. And without the markings, it is messing me up. So I'm already a good bit off trail. I think my notes said this was a great campsite too. Nice and wide open. And you got water right there, which is always great for a campsite. I do believe we're here. If this isn't it, I'll take it. It's a clearing. Got a view of the mountain ridge there. Sky above. Now I don't know where exactly I'm going to put my hammock, but we'll figure that out. There's the fire pit. 2 of them actually. Definitely feel a breeze coming in this way. If the weather does get dicey, it's probably going to get hammered right here. But it will be a nice place to hang out. Trail looks like it goes down over here. Let's go over here and see if maybe there's a spot protected in the trees that we can put a hammock up. These are actually probably a little little too close together, these trees. Unfortunately. I think him to him would be okay, but that would be in the way of my tarp. And we do have potential rain in the morning. This, even though you're in a hammock, you really don't want to walk around on this all night. This stuff takes dozens, sometimes hundreds of years to grow this mossy undergrowth. And on top of that, it's just not fun to be walking around on top of saplings and whatnot. So I'm going to stay away from that. But yeah, all I know for sure is, in general, this is my relative area for a run. So I'm going to poke around a little more, drop this pack, that's for sure, and see if I can't find a general area that I want to set up the hammock, and then probably put the tarp up, and then maybe focus on a little dinner, because it's been a couple hours slow going, navigating through those trails. They were a little hard to follow at times, but the payoff is we're here. Sun hasn't set yet, and we got a nice view of the mountains. So take this thing off. Get him down. Still got some cereal for the morning, but I am ready for a hot meal, as good as that was. All right, what are we gonna do here? Well, it feels weird to walk without that weight on my back. I don't think I've really taken that pack off, other than going inside of it and sitting on that rock that one time for a break. It's breezy too. Probably get my jacket on. Let's see here. All right, well, let's find a pair of trees. Honestly, maybe we could make these ones work. Whew, that temp is dropping. Got my hammock, got my tarp. Maybe we'll take a better look at it in the morning. But right now, I just want to get this up before it gets too dark. Get it out of the way so I'm not worried about it. I can slide the hammock back and forth as well as the tarp, but in general, just kind of getting a relative idea of where I want it. And if it does break out in rain, I'll be okay. I don't think that's going to happen until middle of the night or early morning, but I'd rather be prepared. So that's where I'm at right now. After this, I'll get working on some firewood collection. Surprisingly, there's actually some wood laying around here, like dead wood, which I wasn't expecting, but this area is just a lot less used. So while this is probably a prime campsite for where I am, in general, just think there's not a lot of traffic in here. So I may have some decent luck with procuring fuel for a fire, which is what I'm gonna get on next. Zippo, got a balloon on there to keep it from evaporating, the fuel that is in my pack. Got my pocket bellows, collapses down. Showed that on the last video. A lot of people were making fun of me saying it's just the car antenna, but you know what? That's all good. It works perfect. A little patience. We'll see what happens here. Stove system, white gas, water. There you go. The lid on the top. Chili mac and beef. The snow has arrived. Thankfully it's snow and not rain. I guess we'll just let this lull us to sleep and see what daybreak brings. Good morning, everyone. 6:30 a.m. A calm night of snow is giving way to freezing rain. Pretty good excuse to stay in the hammock for a bit longer, I think. It's foggy and the tarp is frozen with a sheet of ice. Imagine the temp is below freezing, I guess. Let's see here. No, 33. I think the lowest was, well, let's see. Pull that down. 55 was the high. No, 31 was the low, so it only barely went below freezing. But it's definitely freezing the tarp up. It's actually laying it down on this side, getting a little too close for comfort. Oh man. A little better, I guess. This is a Dyneema tarp. The whole thing only weighs 5 ounces, so there is definitely more weight in ice than the actual weight of the tarp on it right now. But it's holding up decently. Probably should have pitched it out a little lower and better last night, but it is what it is. I am dry and warm. I got my 20-degree top quilt, 0-degree bottom quilt, and slept with my hat and my synthetic puffy jacket. So I feel pretty toasty, but I'll be honest, I don't really want to go out there. Not yet. So I think I'm gonna listen to an audiobook here. I listened to 127 hours on the hike in yesterday. That was a little maybe not the best thing to listen to when you're hiking alone, but it was good. Maybe I'll listen to something a little more lighthearted and probably lay here for another hour and just relax. I don't have any internet, so I do have a Weatherman radio actually. I could get that out of my pack and see if I can pull down a weather report, but sometimes it's best just to not know for a little bit. So I'm just going to lay here and enjoy myself. Did 6 miles yesterday, including that road hike, or maybe 7 miles. And I don't know, maybe we'll do, I was going to do 5 to 7 today. But if it's, I don't know, we'll see. I might do a base camp and not worry about setting up camp again. If I can do it out and back, because putting away a frozen tarp and packing it up and then putting it back up, I if I don't have to. Well, we'll see. I suppose I don't have to do anything. It's choose your own adventure right now. Right now, I choose to lounge in my hammock. Visibility pretty low this morning. I listened to my book for quite a while. I said I was going to go lighthearted, but I ended up jumping right into touching the void. Again, not the best idea to listen to while you're solo hiking, but it's entertaining. Anyway, look at this. Just fogged in. Now last night or evening, I had a clear view all the way down in there over the mountain and valley area. We came up from down there, basically, I believe, if my bearings are correct. The trail kind of snaked in here. I'm right on the trail, typically not what I like to do, but considering the fact that the roads were closed and the weather is what it is, I don't anticipate I'll be ruining anybody else's experience by being right here on the trail. And regulation wise, there's no rules against camping distances from the trail around here. There's my stool, coated with a nice smattering of frozen rain. I was smart enough to take in the top part last night so my fabric isn't saturated. My stove, we'll have to thaw that out. There's my cup, just covering the stove itself. And the fuel bottle right there. Unfortunately, that is not from me, but people have left some trash there that is not burnt. Tin cans and whatnot. But I did build this up the best I could last night. Got a pretty good little pit there. Plenty of rocks around here. I do notice in the daylight that I got some holes in there that I could probably have plugged up, but that's okay. So right now it's blowing a little bit of mist, frozen mist on me. I'm not sure how much longer that's going to last. You know, I looked at the forecast before I came. I did see there was a mix of snow and rain today, but honestly, the forecast for in town is going to be dramatically different than up here. It just changes so quick, so there's no telling what I'm going to get today. Hasn't gotten much better. The rain is picking up. I'm going to get back under the tarp. Whew, look at that. What I want to do is, right now, get as much ice off of my gear as possible before it does thaw out, just to make things a little easier. All my lines are frozen up. I don't have my rain pants on. That's not smart. So I'm starting to get wet. I'm going to get underneath of the tarp here and assess my situation. But first I just want to get the ice off. Weighing it down. I should definitely re-tension these lines, but they're all frozen. Not impossible, but we'll just see if this is a quicker option rather than fiddling with 6 frozen lines. Wipe my face, that was smart. The unfortunate thing is I'm out of water. I got, yeah, a little bit of Mio energy and water mixture there. It was easier than coffee. It's a little caffeine and B vitamins and whatnot. But these are not ideal conditions. I don't really want to be hiking around in this, but I don't know if it's going to stop. If I had some water to make soup right now, it would be a great excuse to, well, focus on that instead. Like I said yesterday, this isn't really enough snow on the ground to melt. Now, this morning, there was actually a couple inches more than this, but it's all turned rotten with the rain coming in, and it's knocked the snow down a bit. Honestly, on the ridge here is probably not the best place to be, because I'm getting hammered by wind, which is blowing the rain sideways. But I'm going to sit for a little bit, maybe tighten up the tarp, and yeah, just kind of take it from there and make the best of my situation. What else can I do? It seems that getting a weather update is out of the question. Unfortunately, this is the second time that I've put brand new batteries in my Sangean DT400 weatherband radio. I did it in New Hampshire as well. Put a fresh set in and it instantly went to flashing battery dead. I thought it was bad luck before, but now I think I've come to the realization that perhaps the Sangean doesn't like lithium-ion batteries. I got those silver Energizer batteries in there, and it's just going right to saying it's dead, so I can't get any signal. And I almost brought regular alkaline batteries, and I guess that's all I can think of. So, no weather report. Everything is just damp. I definitely made a mistake by walking around out there without my rain pants on. So my pants in the thigh area particularly are pretty soaked. Luckily, everything I'm wearing is synthetic, so I will dry out eventually. Ironically, moving around, hiking activity would dry me out quicker, but I'm not in the mood to go out there. Actively raining, just above freezing with like 33 degrees, so it's that kind of perfect wet, cold, but not enough to be snow kind of situation, and no visibility because of that fog, so I wouldn't be seeing anything in the roaring plains, which there are some plains. Yeah. There are some plains out here to walk through, but I won't get any views. I tensioned down my tarp a bit more, as much as I could, but the ice just keeps building up. I think at this point, oh, my water bottle's blowing away too. I think at this point I am going to try to scrape up whatever snow I can and make myself a hot cup of soup and just try to get the morale up and just hope this rain blows out or turns into snow, but ideally just stops. Chili flavored ramen. Let's see if we can get this thing going. All right, well, it is well past 10 a.m. at this point. Heck, it might be pushing on 11, I'm not sure. I've just been trying to wait this rain out. It's tapered off in general. It's fully stopped a couple times and then come back. Right now, well, it almost felt like it was stopping again. But it does seem like it's picking up a tiny bit. At this point, I think I'm not going to mess with breaking down camp and hauling off somewhere else. Best case scenario, I would say the rain tapers off. I'll leave camp set up, let it thaw out, and I can day hike around from here, leave this as a base camp, and we can check out roaring plains and whatnot. I think that's what we're going to do. And then tomorrow I can either hike out the same way, or if the weather is particularly nice, I can continue the whole loop with minimal water and food, because I'll have eaten most of it by then, and I'll be a little lighter, and we can do the rest of the loop that way. But we'll see. We'll just play it by ear. I actually hear some birds out, which is a first. I had some coyotes this morning around 4 a.m., right around when the snow stopped and we got a break before it switched to rain. There were some coyotes howling. Not super close, although it sounded like it, but I'm sure they were pretty far away. There's no coyote tracks around here, just rabbit tracks and stuff like that. But we are very close to Dolly Sods, and every time I go to Dolly Sods, there are coyote roll calls just about every time I camp here. So it's par for the course. No worries there. But I'm going to try these chili flavored ramen noodles. It came out pretty good. I used a minimal amount of water. So at first I was skeptical that I messed up because I was saying the rain was washing the snow away. But what it ended up doing was kind of soaking into the snow and creating this hard pack kind of slush. And it was actually a lot quicker to melt snow today. Normally with fluffy powder, I would fill this whole cup up with powdered snow, and it would melt down to like probably an inch, or like my finger right there, just because it's mostly air. But because this stuff is hard packed, I've been making little snowballs out of it, and I threw a few of those in the cup, and I really didn't spend much time and effort melting snow, which is nice. So I can stay here, I believe, and continue to survive off of the snow that's around. I've already got a nice fire pit here. Probably have a nice fire. Didn't show you too much of that last night. So yeah, I think this is home. It feels like home, and I'm gonna keep this as my home base. Have some noodles, and heck, I could even collect firewood next during one of these little breaks in the rain. Let's go take a look. Still don't have my rain pants on, so I'll try not to be out here too long. You can tell by my tarp, it is just sopping wet out here. The actual temperature is above freezing for sure, still 37. But you can see well, actually now it looks like it's just switched over to rain again. But it was flakes of snow for a little bit. God, I wish I could be outside of that tarp. Just feel stuck under there. Visibility is still, no, it's not nil. Look, we can actually see that mountain ridge, and before it was a wall of white right up till here. A lot of snow coming off. I was getting a little paranoid because I'm losing the snow that I need for drinking water. As you can see over here, it's turning green and maroon again. But my almost got concerned, but then I remembered in here within these pines the snow is going to remain a little longer, so I can definitely poke around and gather snow and ice crystals to continue getting drinking water throughout today into tomorrow, I think. Hopefully, we'll see. Worst case, it's a couple miles back down there to that area from yesterday where there was that confluence of small streams, but I think we'll be fine here. What I would just like is to get a little break from the precip, collect some firewood. This is my first time outside of the tarp in a little while. I've just been laying in the hammock, doing the occasional organization of gear, for the most part just being lazy. Every once in a while it gets bright and I get excited, and it never quite breaks through. And because I'm melting snow, I have to actually conserve my fuel. I thought I had too much, but I could very well run out of stove fuel if I'm not careful, because melting snow is a lot more energy intensive, obviously, compared to dipping into a stream. Feels like a decent amount in there though. So yeah, I guess that's where I'm at. Maybe suck it up, put on some rain pants, collect some firewood. It'll at least give me something to do and keep me warm. Alright. This wood right here looks a little wet, but is what it is. I'm going to try to do what I can. Probably poke around some more, look for some smaller stuff to get it started, but I'm just going to saw this up, and hopefully if I can get some smaller stuff going, even if this is a bit wet, maybe it'll catch. Go. Yeah, looks a little saturated all the way into the inner rings there, but hey, that's all right. I'll probably scout around, because this does look pretty wet, so maybe do a little more scouting, look for some better wrist-sized logs like this that aren't completely inundated with water. It would make things a bit more comforting. All this wood around here, incredibly wet. I've been feeding little sticks in there, twigs, everything. It's been about 45 minutes, if not longer now. I haven't really been paying attention. So this is my last shot. If this catches, great. We'll have a little fire. Let's just hope for the best. See what happens when we come back. But over here, I got my cereal for tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Still got some powdered milk, so I'll have that in the morning. Chicken teriyaki, rice, green peas, carrots, peppers, onions, freeze-dried. All right, so that's my dinner. As long as I can get some boiling water, I'll be good with that. Speaking of which, I'm out of water once again. The good thing is, in here on these branches is a bunch of iced up, very solid ice, which is good. It's condensed water, basically. A lot better to melt than snow. So that will get me some dinner. In the meantime, well, my main problem is these guys right here are saturated, and they're my money makers. If I can get them going, I'm good. But without those, just going to be a night full of feeding twigs into a fire, and don't really feel like doing that, to be honest. But we'll see. All right, I'm going to melt some snow, and we'll just let that fire do whatever it does. All right, I'm just gonna gather ice off of the trees, fill a pot, because I'm thirsty and I need dinner. All right, boiling water, chicken teriyaki. In, stir, let that sit, and be eating good soon, I hope. In the meantime, melt some more snow. Here we are. Laker midnight somehow. I got all my layers on, and I got a hot meal right here, so let's see how this is. Woo. Oh, very hot. Maybe technically a little too much water, but it's nice and saucy. I'm gonna enjoy this. My fire has died out. It kicked up pretty good for a little bit while I was melting snow. That was nice. I'm probably going to just give up on that at this point. It's honestly not even 8 o'clock, but like I said, hiker midnight. It's dark. I've had a long day. Hit the hammock, get a little shut-eye, and see what tomorrow brings. Good morning, everyone. And a good morning it does seem to be. It's just starting to get light. It's a little after 6. Probably can't see me that well because it's not that bright out yet, but it's brighter than it was. So, no wind this morning, no rain or snow or freezing rain. I packed up most of my stuff in the cooking area over there last night, over by the fire. It's really just my hammock and my quilts and my tarp that are still out. So I'm gonna get out of here, out of the hammock, into the boots, and get packed up and get on it early. See what these roaring plains look like. See if we have any views today. Okay. Nothing like a little sunshine. Clear skies. Love it. So I'm going to break this tarp down. Oh, my rocks are frozen in place. Well, they weren't going anywhere last night. Might have to dig these out. But nonetheless, I'll work on that and pack away everything. And then we'll be on our way back on the trail once we restore this to the way it looked before I got here. We're up to 48 degrees from 21 this morning. That sun is making a difference. Feels great. So let's get the pack on. Get on the trail here. Definitely lighter without a lot of the food and just about all my water. I am pretty thirsty, and there's really not much left up here to harvest snow and ice wise for drinking water. So I'm just going to get moving. I am realizing now I foolishly packed away my paper map that I was going to use to show you what I plan to do today, which is about 7 or 8 miles to complete the majority of this loop, since I stayed in one spot yesterday. It was fun though, and better than hiking in the rain compared to this. But let me show you on my phone what we got going on. Well, actually first let's check around the camp, make sure everything's clear. There's the fire pit that I left in better condition, and a bunch of logs in there. A little chair, not bad. So we're gonna go this way, and like I said, look at my phone here. So we're right now on the Hidden Passage Trail just before the pipeline, and I'm going to hike something called the Canyon Rim Trail, which I presume does just that. Then I'll cut over on the Roaring Plains Trail, at which point it looks like there are some indications on the map of some water. And then I will go across the plains on the Boar's Nest Trail, and that looks like it drops pretty steeply back down to Forest Road 19, and then I'll hike back to the vehicle. And where it puts me on Forest Road 19 is actually further down, so I'll have less road hike than I did the first day. A little haze down in there, but a nice sweeping view. And now we're up onto the plains here, and I can actually see it a bit without all that fog. I got my GPS recording my track data. For anybody interested, I'll put that link in the video description along with my blog post, if you want to come out and try this yourself. Haven't eaten yet either, so I'm thinking when I finally find some water, I'll stop, refill, and have a little breakfast then. I've descended a little bit on this pipeline to get access to the next trail on Canyon Rim. Looks like the temp has descended as well. I guess the pipeline put this thermometer here, I have no idea. But we're back under 30. So it's quite the difference. Got the gloves back on. Now, if I had wanted to, I could have actually taken this pipeline back the other way. We came from on top of that ridge there and just descended down in here. If I had taken it that way, it would actually bisect right towards the Boar's Nest Trail. But we got a decent start today, time-wise. And why not? Might as well go up here and see what the Canyon Rim has to offer. Hopefully a little sunshine. No, you're not imagining things. I'm back at the thermometer. I shouldn't have went straight. I double checked my GPS when I got up there because there was a boundary sign and it says the trail is back here. Oh, there we go. Well, look at that. So if you ever come here yourself, I did mention that they said the trails are pretty hard to follow. If I didn't have my GPS, I think I would be pretty screwed up right now. Second guessing myself, or at least have some good trail notes. Definitely a map and compass. But yeah, so pro tip, if you see that thermometer, it's the beginning of the Canyon Rim Trail, apparently. So there we go. In the woods so far. I suppose that'll change. Trail splits. Oh no, that must be the real trail. Campsite. Some Dolly Sods style rock chairs. That's all the rage around here. 1, 2, 3 of them. According to my notes, there should be an overlook around here by this campsite, which is semi-dry, but we're not that far from the water that I crossed over back there. So let's see if there's a view. Been just about a half hour that my water treatment tablets have been sitting, so water should be safe to drink. I just got to add my other tablets to neutralize the iodine flavor, but that only takes 5 minutes. So maybe if I can find an overlook, this would be a nice break spot for some cereal, but I don't see much. Man, it's a beautiful day though compared to yesterday. Days like yesterday really make you appreciate good weather. I don't see this overlook though. Maybe it's further down the trail. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is something. Not quite what I was picturing, but let's see. Oh, no, I'm not stepping across that with a pack on. No, thank you. Might not look like much. I'm sure I could do it, but I'm not going to bother. Out here by myself, especially listening to Touching the Void again. My second book in a row about people stranded with injuries in the woods. Yeah, I don't know if that's the overlook or not, but I'm going to keep on keeping on. Find somewhere else to have my breakfast. There we go. Nice old view. Not much of an area to sit, but a nice little view. One thing is for sure though, it is dense. This is barely a trail. in some spots at least. Oh wow, there's the ridge over there. Don't quite have my bearings right now. That's probably where we came from. And then wound over. No, we were further over there. But essentially that's the elevation we were at. I can hear some rushing water up here. Pretty loud actually. It might be the water that was on my map. But I already filled up with a liter and a half liter in my front. So I'm good to go. Probably for the rest of the day. Well, seems like a reasonable enough spot. It's been slow going. Not a lot of elevation changes, but just really tight trails. And soaking in the views when it's not tight. So between that, probably only went like a mile an hour. But I get a little food in me, perhaps my fate will change. Or actually, to be honest, I don't really have a problem with a mile an hour. It's like 10-ish. Probably get out of here in time for a late lunch. A little cheeseburger action, as usual, to wrap up things. But for now, I need some water, which is done being treated with both phases of treatment. First is the iodine for half an hour, kill the bad stuff. Second is the 5-minute PA plus pill to turn it clear and not taste like iodine anymore. So it's been a pretty fun hike so far. I've been enjoying myself. I've been enjoying the weather. I know I keep harping on it and saying it, but man, yesterday was just, I mean, it was fun to be out at camp and everything, but it was a little trying at times. And also rewarding, because those things go hand in hand. Fruity goodness on the side of a mountain. Who would have thought? Like I alluded to before, I kind of like fasting in the morning, but that's pretty tough when you're hiking. You need the energy. I often break my own advice and hike without food, and it just doesn't work. But this at least is lower carb, but it'll give me something. So I think I'm just going to roll with this all the way throughout the rest of the day. Keep myself kind of light and nimble, and not have any carby snacks. And just wait until I get to a burger joint somewhere on the way home, and then, you know, completely undo all of the healthy eating I've done for today. But that's all right. Wow, look at this campsite. Plenty of room for hammocks and tents. Big old view. Probably got the same wind yesterday that I did. Pretty awesome though. All right, I'll have to tag this one, that's for sure. On the old GPS. The nice thing about today is all the elevation was the first day. Elevation gain, that is, for the most part. So I'm pretty much just walking the ridge and the plateau. Super remote feeling though. That is for sure. Would not want to be back here if I didn't know what I was doing or had a GPS. And kudos to people 20, 30 years ago that just would do these backpacking trips with just a map and compass. I know it's possible, but there would be times that I'd be freaking out, because I've had to check myself several times on this trip and just kind of get my wits about me in sections where it just didn't look like a trail anymore, and just had to use the GPS to go in the general direction. I'm sure you'd figure it out without it. Use your compass, stop, think about your relation to the ridge and whatnot, but even if you're going in the right direction, not being on the actual trail, that is pretty slow. It would definitely wear on you. About 4 miles in now. We seem to have finally left the canyon rim behind. We've turned away from it. And we're kind of going through some more boulder fields here. The only real, well, there's definitely not a trail. The only source of navigation are little cairns or ducks, whatever you want to call it, rock piles like that that people have made. Which technically I don't even think they're supposed to be in a wilderness area. I'm not complaining, but I have heard that they will knock those down. But anyway, I just find one, look for the next one. Around here, it's actually a pretty good example. Somebody did a bunch of them. Maybe somebody was taking a break and was bored. Some sections, there won't be one for quite a while, and you'll have to really kind of poke around. But it looks like we're funneling back into more of an obvious trail now. Not too far ahead, very shortly, should be TP Trail. We're only going to take that for less than a mile, maybe half mile, and that'll link us up with Roaring Plains Trail, which will go across the top of the plateau. I don't know if that's in the woods or if those are some more fields. We'll see. Three small rocks and an orange ribbon. If it wasn't for that, yeah, I would never know this was a trail. But this is apparently it. TP. Oh, all right. I have a feeling this is going to be slow and wet. Can't say I would recommend this trail in wet conditions or the winter, or maybe ever at all. I mean, I suppose it is here to get you over to the trail I need to get to, obviously. But boy, it doesn't seem very well used. And I did screw up. Should have put on my hard shell pants, basically rain pants. Part of me said, can't be that bad. And it's the last day you're hiking out. Well, that was stupid. I am soaked to the point where there's water running into my boot, down my leg. So there will be no stopping and smell the roses anymore for me. I gotta go right here because I gotta keep moving or I'm gonna get real cold in this. I don't know, I imagine it's back up into the 30s now. I don't know whatever happened to that random 48 degrees, if that was a bad read or what, but it has not felt like that since we left camp. And now that my pants are wet, I just gotta keep moving, keep active. They're synthetic, and I do still have my synthetic long johns underneath base layer that should be wicking moisture and keeping me warm as well. But that was a stupid move, so take the time to do things right, even if you know you're leaving today. Because honestly, what if something did happen? I know I'm supposed to leave today, but what if something happened? Now I got wet pants on. Don't have spare pants in my bag. Come to think of it, I don't have spare pants in the car. I didn't bring a change of clothes. Why do I always do that? Might be stopping at Walmart to buy some dry sweatpants. Now that I mentioned that, it is clouding over. A slight feel of rain in the air. How did I forget about that possibility? It's just so nice this morning and I put it out of my head completely. All the more reason to keep it moving and see if we can beat any precipitation back to the vehicle. There we go. The final trail. Forest Road 19 is in 2.7 miles. Let's just call it 3 on the Boar's Nest Trail here. And then a little bit of road hike, maybe a mile, 3.5, 4 miles to go. I guess there's a little more mileage than I thought today, because what am I up to here? Oh, I'm at 6 miles, so it might be closer to a 10-mile day. That's all right. It's a little after 1:30 now, so doing okay on time. I do have a 5-hour drive in front of me, but I just gotta, the final thing to worry about is just hopefully this steep descent is not too covered with ice. Wouldn't want to fall now. Oh, look at that. I don't see that sun anymore. A race against Mother Nature, as usual. Somewhere down there is the road, and the Jeep, and heat. I could use a little bit of that. Oh, and well, I guess add a water crossing to that list, because we got to do this. Only like a quarter mile away at this point from the road, but this is going pretty good. So I think I'm going to put a stick in each hand and focus on that, because that looks pretty deep. Maybe over here. I'm just going to have to get my feet wet. I just don't want to get caught up in the current there. So here we go. All right, well, that went over the boot, the ankle I mean, and curtains, so we'll got a wet foot on the way out. Glad I didn't have to deal with that on the first day if I was doing this loop the other way around. Get up here finally see this road, I guess. And there she is. The Jeep is still there. And I am still in one piece. So we did it. We made it. Roaring Plains, West Virginia. Great views. A little dicey with the weather, but it made things interesting. And overall, just 3 days of hammock camping in the woods. So I can't complain. Or if I was going to complain, I guess my only complaint would be that I'm pretty hungry and a little tired. So I'm going to get this pack off, hit the Jeep, and get on the road, replace some calories. Till next time, I'm Syntax77, and right now, it's cheeseburger time.